How's it going, everyone? My name is DividableHalo HD, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing a tier list of all the Halo games that we have so far. So obviously, yeah, the games that we have listed here are Halo CE, Halo 2, Halo 3, ODST, Wars, Reach, CE Anniversary 4, the Master Chief Collection, Halo 5, Halo Wars, Spartan Assault, and Spartan Strike. Now, I do know that there's Halo Outpost, I believe, the one where you could play in that little arcade one. I played it, and no, I haven't played it enough to know like how great it is, so it's not on this list for today. But yeah, today we're using this little link right here. I'll leave one down in the description below if you guys want to give it a test out. But it's the Halo games, including spin-offs, and it is a tier list maker. 0 ranking so far, so yeah, let's just jump into it. So starting off the list right now, we have Halo Combat Evolved. Now, I'm going to be very critical on how I rank these games, and it's going to be very nostalgic on a lot of these games as well. But Halo Combat Evolved, to me, is going to sit in the heroic thing. Heroic isn't necessarily bad. It's certainly not the best Halo game, but it's definitely like a game that kickstarted off the Halo franchise, got me in love with it and all that. Anything that's normal is like, yeah, it was decent, but yeah, anything that was easy, it was kind of eh. And then have not played yet is obviously games that I have not played yet. So yeah, Halo Combat Evolved, what a game. Everyone that has ever played Halo should have probably played Halo Combat Evolved. I mean, let's go check out a trailer that we have that was released on 14 years ago. Obviously, we'll cut through some parts right here, but yeah. Just that opening scene right there says it all. And then, of course, the iconic Halo theme that we have going on in the beginning.
Bring the ship back up to combat alert. I want everyone at this station.
Men, keep your eyes downrange, fingers on your triggers, and we all go home in one piece.
And my Rep Marines.
Sir, yes, sir.
Lock and load your weapons. Let's be ready to move. Good luck, Mason.
Now would be a very good time to
Second audio by far that was the best from Halo CE.
Before it's too late.
And then we have the iconic logo. Alright, so obviously we're not going to show the full trailers of everything, but I would say Halo Combat Evolved's ranking in the tier list is definitely heroic. Moving on to Halo 2, and this is like no questions asked. This is where it has to be, the legendary tier. Halo 2 by far was my most favorite Halo game. It was also the first Halo game that I've ever purchased, actually the first video game that I've ever purchased in my life. So hands down, it's going to sit in the legendary tier. And if you guys remembered, the Halo 2 trailer by far was one of the best trailers to be released. So let's check it out. Once again, we'll show little clips of it. I just remember seeing this on TV and just remembering, wow. Boom, there we go. Most iconic quote in Halo. Just imagine seeing that how many years ago. Moving on to Halo 3, by far, once again, it's just going to go into the legendary category. As we all know, Halo 2 was plagued with a lot of development problems, but Halo 3, by far, had one of the best developments to the series thus far, and it shows when you look at the game. Once again, Halo 3 was the first multiplayer online game that I've ever played, and it was really fun. Like, I played Halo CE's multiplayer on PC, but it wasn't as enjoyable. But Halo 3 multiplayer, I just remember going to other people's houses because at the time I didn't have Xbox Live. But yeah, once you got Xbox Live, you hopped on Halo 3, and yeah, it was just game over from there. Not only that, it had like one of the best endings I think that Halo could have had for it. Once again, with a cliffhanger, but it was great in my opinion. So there's multiple trailers that we have for it, but obviously we're going to be looking at Starry Night, and boom. Anyone that used to watch Luke the Notable, shout out to him, as this was one of his first ever intros to his channel. That one scene right there. So no, definitely, I think everyone can agree that Halo 2, Halo 3 by far stayed in this. Now moving on to Halo 3 ODST, and it goes into the heroic category. Once again, it expanded on Halo 3, so it's more of an expansion on there, but the campaign by far, the dark mood, the idea of playing as ODSTs and introducing Firefight, definitely was a game that a lot of people loved. And if you go back on it right now, it's easily one of the best Halo campaigns to kind of go through. But yeah, Halo 3 ODST, it's going in the heroic category, and you guys will kind of see the trend on the older games, but definitely they are heroic category in my opinion. So obviously what we're going to watch is the ODST live action one. Alrighty, moving on to the next category, we got Halo Wars, and by far one of the biggest games I ever grinded in my life. Definitely was Halo Wars. I just love the whole idea of being able to control armies within UNSC. If anyone was ever a kid and played the Halo campaigns like the way I did, the way I used to always play Halo 2, CE, 3, is I'd always try to keep the Marines alive to the ends and all that. And no, just being able to control your big army in Halo Wars is definitely one thing that's awesome. It's easy to play, easy to understand. I definitely hands down stick it in the heroic. If not, I would extend it a little higher if the game was able to last longer than it did. But Halo Wars definitely was a game that was worth playing, and obviously we'll check it out with this trailer right here. Just look at these beautiful animations, these cutscenes right here. Elites in their baddest form. And then we got Spartans.
If they want war, we'll give them war.
Now, Halo Reach. And everyone's going to say they either put it in normal, heroic, but for me personally, since this is my own personal list, I'm putting it in the legendary tier. Just the whole story behind Noble Team and Reach, the fall of Reach and all that, with Heartbreak and all that, and then moving on to just the multiplayer. I grinded hours of the Halo Reach multiplayer, and once again, one of the other Halo games that I bought for the first time as well was Halo Reach when it came out, and it was a game that was definitely worth it. Forge was 20 times better than Halo 3's, and obviously games, it gets better except for Halo 4, you massive disappointment, but yeah, Halo Reach is definitely a legendary tier game, and I still play it to this day, funny enough, on MCC. But yeah, let's check out the Halo Reach trailers, because that's the one thing too, is Halo Reach had a great hype to it, and this trailer in itself just kind of shows it.
Rated M for mature.
Once again, these like things like showed on TV as well. They obviously didn't show the full trailer, but yeah. just the fact that all of Noble Team's included into this. You got Cat right here. We'll try to pick out all the other Spartans. Then you got George, of course. Emil was in there. June with his sniper. The only thing I can't recall seeing is where Carter was. I believe his name was Tom. The great sacrifice of a Spartan right there. And of course, this is the countless battles going on. Anyways, moving on, we have Halo CE Anniversary, and naturally you guys would think it would go in the heroic spot, but honestly, it's going in the normal spot, right? Like, once again, it's its own game. I believe when it came out, people were still paying the $60, $70 price tag that this had on it for a game that was essentially just a reskin of the original one. While yes, you got the Halo DLC for the Halo Reach campaign and all that, it simply just was not enough for a Halo game to be paying that amount that everyone else has for it. Yeah. Next game that we move on to here is Halo 4, and it's no doubt that it's going to be going right into the normal tier. Halo 4's campaign was by far one of the best campaigns I've ever enjoyed. However, the multiplayer was terrible. It was really terrible. The Forge was really terrible. Everything about it, including going into theater mode, was really terrible. I don't know if you guys remember, but back when Halo 4 first came out, a lot of these machinima directors made their own little, I think it was VDoc series on it, saying how impossible it was to make machinimas for Halo 4, and it definitely shows. Like I said, I did enjoy the campaign. However, unless you were an avid Halo fan and you knew the backstory behind the Forerunners and all that, like, the campaign could be very confusing. So Halo 4's campaign definitely was what redeemed itself in the end, but it makes it into by far that tier list for me. So let's check out the trailer for it. Obviously a lot of this is going to probably have to do biggest thing though is it gave Chief a backstory, more or less, like a live depiction of how it was for the Master Chief. And then once again we got the swapping of the clones. Skip ahead a little bit. We got the augmentation process. And by far a very good scene right here. Just the suit up of the Spartan. And then we got the big bad Didact. Yeah, no, I will say Halo 4 had a good marketing to it as well. But not as great as marketing as Halo 5 did, which we'll talk about Halo 5 in a bit. But yeah. Moving on, next we got the Master Chief Collection. And the Master Chief Collection, depending on what era you're in right now, if you're in the modern day, it could definitely be a heroic tier. If you're in the old day, like I was, it's going to hover around the normal to the easy tier. And we're going to toss it in the normal tier. By far, the best thing to have it was the Halo 2 Anniversary. And then later on, the inclusion of all the other Halo games would bump it up to heroic, but it was a mess of a launch for Halo Anniversary or Halo the Master Chief Collection. Like, I still would play this game to this day with thankful, I would still play this game to this day, thankfully, because of all the updates and everything included into it. But the launch of Halo the Master Chief Collection was so sloppy and it was so poorly done. Like, the campaigns were laggy, the multiplayer was laggy, sometimes you couldn't even find games on it, and it was just more or less very rushed. So it's kind of sad to see that Halo the Master Chief Collection is so successful with the way it is now, but in the past, how like very terrible it was for a Halo launched game. And it was even worse than Halo 5's launch, in my opinion. But yes, moving on to the infamous Halo 5 Guardians. And a lot of people are going to say it was an easy game. A lot of people are going to say it's a legendary game. But for me, I'm going to be honest with you, man. It's a freaking normal tier game. I invested a lot of hours into Halo 5, not because of the damn campaign, not because of the multiplayer, and certainly not because of the rec packs. Now, when Halo 5 first came out, my YouTube channel was pretty much popping, so it should be higher than what it is, but simply compared to all these other games, you gotta think about it too. Like, Halo 5 was a big, huge, massive bust for the campaign. It's by far to this day the one campaign out of all of these that I have not completed because it simply was just boring to me. So, the campaign was a major flop. The pretty much marketing was a major flop. I mean, it was very successful getting the hype going for it, but like once you actually get into the game, it was absolutely kind of pathetic. And it was misguiding, honestly. One thing that I will say that I enjoyed about Halo 5 was the war zone. So there were some multiplayer aspects that I enjoyed of it, but and another thing that was just a major bust of it as well was just not the inclusion of Forge, not the inclusion of many other things that were in this game to begin with. So it had monthly updates almost, which was great for the content creation, but at the same time, like, you didn't draw the biggest hype that you needed when your game launched. And that's the same thing that Halo 4 had. That was a big problem, is it didn't have everything that it needed for a game that was supposed to be one of the biggest titles in the entire series. But I would say Halo 5 in terms of tiers would rank above MCC, Halo 4, Halo CE, but it's not in the tier category of CE, ODST, and Halo Wars, if that kind of makes sense. Yeah, no, Halo 5 was a game that improved on its multiplayer as it gradually went on, but it's a game that just once again doesn't match any of the ones that are above it in terms of its launch and everything in general. Alright, Halo Wars 2, and I'm gonna have to say it's gonna be going into the normal category. So once again, Halo Wars 2, it was great, it just didn't have that long-term retention that Halo Wars, the original one, had. Obviously, when Halo Wars 2 came out, I played the beta, I played the whole entire thing, and you know what, I would have to say that it's like in the same category as Halo 5. If there was a tier once above normal, it would be right there. And it's better than all these other 3 games combined. But yeah, no, it's just once again not in the nostalgia, the era that these games. It could eventually rise up there along with Halo 5, but Halo Wars 2 wasn't the absolute amazing game that it is still to this day, like how Halo Wars is. So we'll obviously look at it right now, and this is the one trailer that definitely was the best trailer in my opinion. And then we got Red Team. Absolutely amazing. Amazing trailer right there. Anyways, moving on to the next games right here. And we're gonna have to end this video quickly now because I have not played these games at all. And chances are I'll never play these games unless I'm actually bored. I believe they're able to play on mobile or some little things, but anyways, guys, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to tell me what you guys thought down in the comments below. Did you guys agree? Did you disagree? What was your ranking of your tier list for the Halo games and all that? But yeah, I'll leave a link down in the description if you guys want to try this out yourself. But once again, my name is DividableHalo HD, and I'll talk to you guys all later. Bye.